Okay, this is the second video on the circle of fifths, and what I'm going to show you here is that if you're on any chord, we're going to use the circle of fifths to kind of tell us what kind of chord we can use to fill in before we get to the next chord that we know about. So to explain that, like we just did that Amazing Grace, and we went from the C to the F, back to the C. Okay, then we went down to the A minor. Okay, but if you look at instead of just coming to the A, straight onto the A from the C, we have, in the chart, we have a chord that can use before the A. And if you look at it, you'll notice it's the E. Okay? So if we count up 5 from the A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is E. And from the E it's 1, 2, 3, 4 is A. So from the E progresses to the A. So that tells us that before we go to the A, we can use the E. So that's an E minor I'm using. So let's try it in the song. E to the A. Then you just do your circle. Okay? So what I did there is, instead of just going to the A minor, which is the chord that, that's your chord you're wanting to be on, you can slide that E in before you get to the A. Okay? We can do the exact same thing for the E. So what's the chord that goes in before E? Okay? You would go down 1, 2, 3, 4, which is B. So that's the 7th of the scale. So you would have B to the E to the A. That's actually called a 7, 3, 6 chord progression. Okay? So let's do it real quick, and we'll have to do it quick. So we'll go B, E to the A. And I'll show you that even sounds right, because you're using the circle of fourths when you're playing the song here. So see how I went? B, E, A. Okay? So I've just used, so whenever I went, instead of going straight to the A, I just went from B to E to A, and then you're going to complete and go D to C to G to the C. See, so there I've used every chord in the scale in a circle, and that's the circle of fourths, and that's how it's used. It'll show you what chord is most likely to come next, but it'll also show you what kind of chord you can use right before you get to the chord that you know you're wanting to go to. Okay? So let me show you something else with it. If we have a song like As a Deer, and we have in this chord progression, you're just going to go down the scale like that, like walking down through the progression. So watch. Okay? So I'll show you what I do here is that if you, instead of just walking down from the B to the A, okay, since you're going to the B, what's the chord in between B and A on the circle of fifths? E. So of course, now you can throw the E in there if you want to change it up a little bit. So see how I just went B to the E to the A. just shows you there that you can use the circle of fifths is kind of like a guide that you can use. And whenever you look at, when I first looked at it for the first time, I didn't understand it quite so much because it went around every note of the keyboard. But what you need to do is just know how to apply it to the scale you're in. You know, just you only got 7 notes in the scale, so it's always going to be typically the 1 chord to the 4th chord, and then from here, what you have that's relevant to that circle is to the 7th, the 3, the 6, then you go to 2, 5, 1. So just practice going around in the circle and getting used to going. Okay, so that there's nothing more than a 7, 3, 6 chord progression. If you know it by numbers, which you should, that's the way you should learn it, is by numbers. You'll know it's easier to understand the actual progression of it. But most progressions are off the circle of fifths. So if you hear a 7, 3, 6 chord progression, or a 2, 5, 1 chord progression, each one of those is using the circle of fifths. So if so you need to practice going from your progressions like 7, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. Okay. The 1 goes to the 4. So, also another good way to practice this is if you know this song. You've probably heard it before. Okay? Practice that song like that. It goes from C to the A to the D to the G. Okay? So you're using that's the circle of fifths all over again. From the C, A, D, G, C. So that's the same thing. It's using the circle of fifths in that song. So practice that and try to get used to in moving in that way in fourths. Alright, so that's pretty much it for the videos on the circle of fifths. I hope you